Good day, my name is Reece and I am a registered counsellor at Community Keepers. The information I'm going to share with you today, you might be familiar with, you might have heard it before, and if that's the case, please listen with an open ear. There's a research out there that says we need to hear something 7 times before it sinks in. So if that applies to you, please have an open heart and an open ear just to hear what will be shared today. If it's your first time that you're hearing the information, please feel free to reach out to us at Community Keepers if you have more questions. The topic that I want to speak about today probably has affected every, if not all, families in some sort of way, directly or indirectly, and that is the topic of substance abuse. When it comes to substance abuse, there is no person that can say that they haven't heard of it, they don't know someone that's experienced it, or they themselves haven't gone through some type of engagement with substance abuse. And the topics I want to deal with today is about the individual that stands in front of you that has been or is in active addiction and what to do to be able to guide that person. There's no way that you'll be able to give all the information at one time to the individual. There's not going to be a case with just one pearl of wisdom is going to bring them out of that situation. But maybe there will be information that you can share periodically with a person that will see them grasp what it is that will get them the help that they need. Like in the example that I said before, it takes about 7 times to hear information before it sinks in. Imagine that's in the best of circumstances. Now if you still add addiction into it, addiction forming a fortified way of thinking in someone's brain, in someone's mind, that what they're doing is okay, they don't have a problem, they'll never become an addict. All these fortified ways of thinking within their mind is another barrier to get through when sharing the information. So that's something to keep in mind. If you see this plant on the side of me, I want to just use that as an illustration. This leaf could represent the addiction. So whether it's a work addiction, whether it's an addiction with substance, it can be alcoholism, drugs, whatever it is. What you see on the outside is just a leaf. But if I take this leaf and I break it off, I haven't dealt with what causes the leaf to grow. What causes the leaf to grow is under the soil. It comes from the root. So the addiction is just a leaf, and if I pull that leaf off, if I pull that addiction away, so I let the person go to rehab and they come out sober, I've just taken the leaf away, I've just taken the substance away. I haven't dealt with the root cause, which I'm not saying the rehab doesn't do. I'm just giving you a practical understanding of where this person is. Once they are clean, once the leaf or the addiction is moved away, what is under the soil needs to be dealt with. Whether it be the insecurity, trauma, how they see themselves, whatever the cause was for them going into drugs in the first place, that needs to be dealt with. That needs to be cut down and absolutely uprooted. And that's one of the main reasons why people, or one of the main contributing factors to why people relapse. So you might have encountered someone that say, man, I've been free for 6 months, I've been sober for 3 months, and then all of a sudden I find myself going back. I'll get periods of being clean, being sober, then I find myself going back. A question to ask that individual was, in that period that you were sober, what were you doing to better your thinking? What were you doing to better your understanding of why you went into drugs in the first place? Because if you as an individual are not growing, if you're not changing your thinking, your identity, you're not dealing with the root. We're just pulling off the leaf, so to speak. We're just taking away the craving, the physical dependency, but we're not actually dealing with what causes the addiction. And that is something that you can explain to someone that finds himself in addiction. There are certain red flags that I want to put before you that you'll be able to pick up in someone's conversation if they're ready, or if they're at the point of knowing, man, I actually have a problem. Number 1, are they isolating and are they keeping secrets? That's number 2. So what I mean by that is, are they telling you everything? Are they upfront with everything? One of the biggest traits that they teach you in the NA rooms or the AA rooms, which is Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous, is that don't keep secrets, because secrets leads to shame, leads to guilt, leads to condemnation, and that's an area that addiction thrives in. Because how do I get rid of that feeling if I've never done it on my own in a natural way? I go to a substance to take away that feeling. So that's where that thing just broods and grows, is in a life of secrecy. So that's something you want to ask the person upfront. Are you telling me everything? Are you being open about everything? And then once they're on the road to recovery, that that medium of being open needs to be there on a constant basis. They can't be a pathway of, I'm going to keep this secret, I'm going to keep this, I'm going to hide that. This just gives the addiction an avenue to grow. That's number one. The second one would be isolation. So isolation in its very raw sense, yes, being alone, but also isolation from people that will actually speak truth into your life. So I can isolate from someone that will challenge me in what I'm doing. Am I doing the right thing to maintain sobriety? Am I doing the wrong thing? Someone that will challenge me in those areas, but I isolate from them, and I tend out to hang out with a person that won't challenge me, that will allow me to continue to stay in the place that I am, which allows the addiction to continue. I just want to backtrack to the relapse. The relapse, when someone says I've relapsed and you ask them all that other questions, the reason you ask them those questions is because the relapse doesn't happen when the person's smoking, putting something in their veins or snorting. The relapse doesn't take place then. The relapse took place a while ago. What do I mean by that? No one just wakes up and ends up at the drug dealer's house. There are certain things that triggers a way of thinking, a way of behavior, that happens way before the person ends up at the dealer's house. That is where the relapse actually started. In their emotions. What were you thinking about? What was triggering you? How come you weren't dealing with that? And it's a process that leads that individual to the dealer's house. I say all of that so that it doesn't become too complicated. Because when you stand in front of someone and they are using, not only are you challenging what they're doing, but you're challenging a mindset. That individual will build a narrative within their mind that gives them a reason that it's okay for them to use. Number one, I'll never get addictive. That will never happen to me. That's a common way of thinking. Another common way of thinking is that, man, I can stop on my own. Just tell me one or two things and I'll be able to do it. But the truth is, when someone gets into addiction, someone had to teach them how to roll the joint. Someone had to teach them how to cook the heroin, to put it in a syringe, to put it in the vein. Someone had to teach them how to do these things. Someone had to teach them where the merchant lives. But all of a sudden, when you want to be free from those things, you think you can do it on your own. Someone then now needs to teach you how to be free from those things as well. Similarly, as someone had to walk with you in your addiction, someone has to walk with you to be free. And I think that's probably one of the main points I want to put on the table, is that this cannot be done alone. That's why there's NA groups. That's why there's inpatient programs. That's why there's outpatient programs. It's just something that can't be done in isolation. So when you speak to someone that you know that finds himself in addiction, you want them to be aware that the addiction is there and let's deal with it, whether it be through a detox period, through an outpatient program, an inpatient program, whatever it takes. But that's only one part of it. You have to deal with the root of what led you to the addiction. And those two avenues you cannot do on your own. You will need a support system around you. So yes, I want to get free, but it's going to take a commitment to maintain that freedom, and it's going to take a vulnerability to ask for the help and accept the help. So as much as we want people to be free, there's also a reality that individual has to know it's not just a straightforward, I want to be free. It takes implementation and it takes a level of discipline to constantly do that. Not that you're going to get it perfect all the time, but it's a journey that you keep going, not giving up. So I hope some of this information helps you or helps someone that you know that finds himself in this situation. At the Community Keepers office within your school, there are emergency numbers. We have numbers for institutes as well that we could reach out to or connect you with if you need help. Please feel free to do that. Thank you so much for giving me an ear. Have a good day.